Welcome to Best of Reddit. Be sure to subscribe as we upload new content daily. Our first story of revenge is Girlfriend Cheats with Stepbrother. I ruin her life. Short backstory: I work for a company where I travel a lot with my stepbrother, and a few months ago I convinced my girlfriend to hop on with us. We have a long chain of command, but I am the direct boss. This job also drug tests. The main story: my girlfriend joined up with us and was able to complete 2 jobs, each job site being 3 months long, with us. I noticed something off with her halfway through the first job. She was constantly going over to my stepbrother's hotel room to smoke weed with him. I don't do that, so she couldn't smoke with me. After the completion of the first job, I knew something was definitely going on and confronted her about it. She brushed it off as me being jealous. A few days ago she was forced to tell the truth, or her best friend would tell me. She had been cheating on me with multiple different guys at each job site, one of them being my stepbrother. The revenge: as soon as I heard this, I began seeing red. I instantly started plotting my revenge. I called up my boss and told him that my ex-girlfriend and my stepbro lied on the drug test. They were retested and failed. Both of them lost their jobs. Next, I left an anonymous tip to the police about their less than legal habits. Lone Star State carries a heavy penalty fine for this stuff. They got busted and charged with a misdemeanor. Now for the finale. I informed her family of her actions and they completely shut her out. They liked me more. Now they are both thousands of miles from home, with no job, no money, she can't afford the payments on her brand new car, a criminal charge, and she has nowhere to go home to. Next up is a revenge story titled, 40-plus-year-old man gets instant karma. It has been 1 year since I have spoken to this person who I used to call my friend. We were close enough that I was a groomsman in his wedding about 2 years ago. It all started to go downhill because of his posts on Facebook. All of our close circle of friends worked for the same company. They would post things about our job and say things like, "I hate this job, management sucks, the people that work here are trash and I don't want to be associated with them. I still work for this company and I do not have the same outlook on it." So I asked him to stop saying things like that online because it frustrated me. Well, he continued to post horrible things online, so I made the decision to remove him from my life. I got tired of him constantly bashing my company and the people in it. No need for that type of negativity in my life. Fast forward a year, and all is well with me. I wake up Sunday morning, turn on my Xbox to play some games, and notice the game I wanted to play is no longer installed. This has never happened before, so didn't think much of it and chalked it up to a glitch. I began to download the game and played another game for a bit and eventually moved on to Netflix. An hour goes by, which was enough time to download the game, and I now see all of my games have been uninstalled. Everything was gone, including the game I had just played. Checking my storage, and I had 100% available, so that means all my games were gone. It was maybe 300 GB total, and most games I don't play anymore except one. I checked the Xbox app on my phone and the name of my console had been changed to Eric is AB. Someone has hacked my account and used the app to uninstall all of my applications. After a few hours of checking out my Xbox account, changing passwords, looking at login history, nothing seemed out of sort. So I decided to factory reset my Xbox. Once the factory reset was done, I checked the Xbox app on my phone. My Xbox was indeed gone, but another Xbox was showing up. And the name on the console was the same name as this friend. I checked it out, and sure enough, to the recent games on it were games that I knew he played. 2 terabytes worth of games were on this console. After looking it over and realizing that after 2 years, I was still signed into his Xbox. He never signed me out, so he had the ability to remotely manipulate my Xbox. The fact that I could now see his Xbox shows that I am still signed into his Xbox, and I now have the ability to manipulate his Xbox. Which I did. So to this 40-year-old man who is petty enough to do crap like this, thank you for reaffirming my choice to no longer be your friend. You delete my 300 GB of games from my Xbox, I will now delete your 2 terabytes of games. I hope re-downloading your 2 terabytes worth of games takes you weeks. Karma. Finally we have, cheat on me. Have fun getting set up on a man date. A few years back, I was dating this guy who I thought was everything a girl could ask for. He was smart, funny, hot. The whole package. For about 3 months I was in absolute heaven, so you can imagine how heartbroken I was when a friend told me about him messaging her on a dating site she frequented, asking for nudes. After a weekend of me crying on the couch with girlfriends, watching bad rom-coms, and binging on junk food, I decide that it's time for payback. The friend who warned me about him agrees to help me in my plan. She agrees to string him along, sending him nudes and flirting with him. All the while, I'm playing the oblivious little airhead, pretending to still be head over heels in love with him. Now important for later, my friend's name was Terry. Eventually my ex decides that pictures aren't enough for him. He needs the real thing. So he starts hitting her up for a hookup. She pretends to go along with it and makes it seem like she's on board. He asks for her number. Up until this point the primary means of communication has been through DMs, and she gives him the number of one of her homophobic ex-boyfriend, Jake. Now let's backtrack. Terry herself had just broken up with this guy recently, and we decided that as long as one cheating jerk was being punished, we might as well get the other. We went to a club where we knew he hung out. Sure enough, we find him with some friends. Terry goes up to him and pretends like she's so embarrassed to be doing this, but my friend thinks you're cute. The guy can't resist the chance to get in some cute girl's pants, and he can't resist the chance to rub it in his ex's face about what a catch he is. So he asks her to bring this friend over. Terry responds that this friend is too shy to come over right now, but she hopes it's okay if she gave her his number. She'd love to plan a nice quiet one-on-one date where they could get to know each other better. The guy shrugs and says sure, unaware that the friend in question ain't exactly a chick. Now important detail, this guy's middle name was Terrence. So he didn't think too much about who he thought was a shy girl referring to him as Terry in his texts. Jake, under the impression that this girl wants to go on a date, immediately starts asking about when they should meet up. My ex jumps at the chance, and immediately agrees to come meet him in Jake's apartment for that one-on-one bonding. Finally the big day arrives and my ex drives up to Jake's apartment. Thanks to Terry continuing to stay in touch with him through her DMs, she knows what time he's coming. She asked him when they'd agreed to meet, just to confirm, on the site, and we secretly park in front of the building in sunglasses and hats. We watch my ex swagger into the apartment, and come running out about 5 minutes later like a bat out of hell without a shirt, and 2 black eyes. Jake follows shortly after, screaming at him to get back here while struggling to pull up his pants. Apparently both men got a little overexcited waiting for my ex to come up, and were in the process of undressing. Jake in particular apparently couldn't wait for my ex to come up and had begun prepping himself before the lucky girl even arrived. When my ex knocked on the door, Jake opened it with his pants around his ankles, intending to surprise her with his one-eyed snake. Probably thought she'd be less likely to back out of the nasty in the event that he misinterpreted what her idea of getting to know him better was, if he was halfway to completion. We're not exactly sure what happened after the moment of truth, but from what we could tell, when Jake realized he'd been set up on a date with a guy, his first instinct was to lash out at my ex, being the homophobe we knew him to be. Contrariwise, my ex being an absolute wuss took to his heels the moment things got violent. Then Jake probably decided to pursue him once he realized he'd forgotten to threaten my ex not to speak of this incident to anybody. Me and Terry are laughing so hard we almost don't notice the police arrive at the scene. One of Jake's neighbors must have heard him shouting and chasing my ex and reported a domestic disturbance. Then we get the added benefit of watching the police run after them. It was like watching a chase scene in Scooby-Doo. Once they finally caught the guys, they took them in for resisting arrest. It's now that me and Terry decide to make ourselves scarce. Then I, angrily, text my ex about how one of my friends saw him at Jake's place for a gay hookup and that I never signed up to be his beard. He doesn't even bother trying to explain before asking me to come bail him out. I tell him that we're over and block his number. To this day, I still don't know what happened afterwards, and neither does Terry. She blocked Jake's number and my ex on the dating site.